days that look like maybe you wipe out. And I don't want you to feel threatened by those days. Because overall, when you're putting in a bank account, I've seen it to kids over and over. So you had a day that was a wipeout day. You know what? Most of the days are this wonderful impartation and the kids remember. They'll go back, I remember the way you stopped and laughed with me, Mom, Dad. I remember that you took us on field trips. And we got to do things that other kids didn't get to do because they didn't have that out of the box education. I remember that when I got interested in Daniel Boone, we did Daniel Boone. I mean, like, we dressed like Daniel Boone. You know, we made that cap. We watched, or Davy Crockett or whatever. We watched, I remember, Mom, that you just kind of rolled up your sleeves and got us into that, or Dad, you took us out and did this. And you know what? That's gonna stick in there. You're gonna get more back from that than did you do all your jots and tittles. Just exactly. Because if you launch that, I'm telling you that by the time they get out the door, they'll be able to do their jots and tittles because they'll go find a way to do it if they need to. Okay. Thank you for playing with me. Here is, if you kind of like circle this right here, Washington Homeschool Organization. This is their website. The WHO, they have state conferences. They have a conference that if you go on their website and look at their different tabs, it's really cool because last year, toward the end of the year, they had a workshop that if you have a high school student and you want to do transcripts for your high school student as a home-based educator, they had a workshop where they wanted you to grab a bunch of stuff and bring it to the they sent you a packet, you filled it out, they bring it to the workshop. It kind of guided you through how to do that. I'm just saying, we're not about making everybody go through K-12 here. We're saying, look at the panorama of options. What are you trying to build? I want you to be able to transcript your own high school kids if you so chose. What's a good way to do it is to go online and find out, how do I transcript high school students? If you wanted to even explore that concept. K-8, you don't need transcripts as much. Grades, but 9 through 12 you do. And you are starting, when you do the 9 through 12, you are starting to think that do-be have list really comes into play. If I wanted to be able to follow their firefighter paramedic group, maybe I can go into Skills Center and give them a taste of that and see if they like that. And yet they come back home and we talk about it. And they do some other classes in the home. But they're kind of out there in the high school a little bit. So you do kind of start asking questions in high school. But your values stick. This is really good. I went to a conference that was put on by the WHO when we were first considering homeschooling or starting. I saw their graduation. I don't know if you've ever been. I would go to a homeschool high school graduation. It is the sweetest thing on the face of this planet. Moms and dads getting up and saying, son or daughter, I see the strength in you. We've walked through many things, and this is what I can see in you as a strength. It's real personal and real, kind of like a bar mitzvah, but a bat mitzvah, bar mitzvah. It's launching your kids. And it's really neat to see how personal it is and how rich it is in family experience and family come-togetherness. The other thing I saw here is I talked to a school psychologist who was homeschooling, and I now know two school psychologists that homeschool. The man that was at this conference said, it is the most individualized instructional program that you can do because it's one-on-one, or 1-to-2, or 1-to-3. And it is, individualized, and it's the most tailor-made program. I can't remember the two things he said, but it's the thing that special ed teachers try to get at. And it was like every kid gets a specialized education this way. Okay? So, Washington Homeschool Organization. has many, many bits of information, and these are some of the other tidbits of information that are available to you on the Washington Homeschool website. There was a lady here, I don't know if you know Julie here,
Yeah.
a little
Yep.
tiny little wiry girl that has twins.
Long hair.
Spunky,
Yeah.
You know.
She has twins?
Yeah.
Julie, the one that's always
Yes.
cleaning up the library and
Yes.
stuff?
Yeah, she has like,
She's so funny.
like she's been around, she's put this building together and taken it apart so many times, literally.
She's in charge of that little library.
Literally. When we had to
careful,
move and
Madeline.
we moved.
That was very
Anyway,
nice.
she's just gotten her high school diploma recently, herself. And she came through here and told me, we celebrated her yesterday, she came through and told me how she did it through Clark College. Did you?
No, my husband.
Your
I
husband?
graduated, but my husband's going to. We just
Okay.
went in
There you
and
go.
I'm so excited for her.
She loves that program.
I should talk to her about it.
Yeah, you
Find out
should.
what she did.
Okay, so, what it is, she goes, I didn't realize how important that paper coming in the mail is to me. She goes, I said, it just kind of opened something inside of me. She goes, yeah, it did. She goes, it's amazing what that does. Here is a page out of the law, and this is where I'll kind of segue over to the homeschool slideshow that I got here. I need to have you guys really know how cool in 1985 it was that some parents that said the 5-day is not the answer for our family. Private school may be too expensive. We want the right to homeschool in this state. And they advocated for it, and they got it on the law books. They protect it every year through lobbying with their representatives. And it became what we call an RCW, which is a revised code of Washington. One thing I found out as a homeschool mom in going up to Olympia is how personal a connection the rep wanted with our kids. Because the rep for our district came out and met us. And the kids got a taste of the original idea of we do matter to our state reps, and the idea of you can even go and talk to or promote an idea and it can become a law. I mean, this, to me it seems like impossible. But now, I know better than that. So I've been up to Olympia several times. And one time I went up to Olympia and the rep secretary said, send us more river polling kids as pages. Why? Well, because they're responsible, and your kids at age 14 can go up in page. And that's a lot of homeschool kids go up there, and they serve the representatives in the House and the Senate and whatnot, and go on and find online and find out what that's about. The ASB kids often are the same kids that are in the Wallace Star kids. Wallace Star kids go up in page as a group. And sometimes they used to go up with Kent Graham, maybe they go up and Minnie Rue, but maybe they go up with somebody else now, I don't know. Maybe one of the new teachers is going to be doing that, I don't know. But with parents. But they love our kids up there because our kids have some sense of person about them and citizenship, and they're responsible, respectful, on time. They do what they're told and get it done. They're self-propelled. They love it up there. So an RCW is a collection of session laws enacted by the legislature. So it's real empowering if you kind of know that you guys are really in a zone being an at-home learner. That's just an amazing thing. Don't expect that it's always going to be here. The at-home learners go up and lobby. There's a homeschool day where the parents go up there and say, thank you, Rep, for keeping this on the books. And sometimes they bring apple pies and, they do things like that. You know how you do those things. Anyway, we're going to learn what do these rules say about home-based instruction, what do they say about private schools or extension programs, and then ALEs. We are an ALE, an Alternative Learning Experience Program. When you partake of a access to what we call 1.0. That means your full tax dollars come here for your kids' education. Then we become responsible for making sure that your kids can do it. Do what? Pass the SBAC test or whatever assessment, the EOCs or high school or whatever there is. But if they only are here part-time, then we're not responsible for sending them through all the assessments. They can take them. But if they're part-time, they don't have to take them. And we'll get to that, if they're 8 and above, they need a once-a-year test. If you're home-based instruction only, you don't have to send them through the district and the state tests. Look at this, 8 years old is the required mandatory education age. It's, what do they do before that? If you're home-based instruction, you don't need to connect with your district prior to that. So, yeah.
I've had people ask me about that, and I'm not sure I'm quite clear about the testing. So if somebody has just declared like intent to homeschool form, they still have to test once a year, right?
If they're age 8 and above.
Okay, but is there something about how they don't actually have to read it? But they like have to do it, but they don't have to like read it, and the district can't look at the results or something like that? That's what I understood.
If you're doing a declaration of intent
Yeah.
and your kids are 8 and above, you
Yeah.
do need to test once a year as a
Okay.
home-based instruction fee.
Okay, and so like the
But
district
the
provides
district
that?
doesn't, you can go to a district school of residence and take
So
the
you can
SBAC
do it
test.
your own, but you have to take a certain test they tell you to take?
I'll show you.
Okay.
I'll show you. Watch this, okay? So, in order to homeschool, you must fulfill one of the following. So this is just broad information for you folks. So if you left and went back into the woodwork, did I give you the PowerPoint? The PowerPoint's in the back.
Oh, it's a
Okay,
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint's in the back.
There we go.
And then a little other material, okay? So I should have said that up front, okay? So, I gave you the page that out of the RCWs that describes homeschooling, if you want to read. I didn't give you the whole 9 yards, so out of the packet. One way is you can earn 45 order units of college level credit. That's like 2 years of college. Attend a parent qualifying course, which is what this is. But we don't have this through a college or a career technical school yet, so you couldn't count this if you needed it as a qualifying course, even though it's probably, one parent told me it's deeper and broader, and I'm just so grateful. She gave me feedback because she did both. She sat through the 10 years, she went out in the community and sat through a parent qualifying course out in the community, and then came back and said, good job, Mrs. Bird. Okay, so made me feel good. You can work with a certified teacher who meets with your student on average of an hour a week. That certified teacher can be here, like in Prime Link, Class Link, 4 Link, high school diploma. Or that person could be outside in the community in a private extension school program, and I can show you how that works. Or you can walk into your superintendent and say, I don't have the other 3 qualifications, but I feel I can do this. And I can tell you why, and I want you to sign off and give me your affirmation that it's okay that I homeschool. So, this is where the Declaration of Intent is discussed. It must be filed annually, and the form is obtained from and returned to the superintendent of the school district in which you live. The information you need to include on the form is your children's name and age, etc. School districts are not legally authorized to vary the format of that Declaration of Intent. This form protects the school, and it also protects you. So that's that. The interesting thing is there are 11 subjects, and they are reading, writing, spelling, language, math, science, social studies, history, health, occupational education, art, and music appreciation. They don't have to be taught separately. I don't see world languages up there. I think world language is going to eventually be up there.
It's under occupational, isn't it?
Right now it is, I think.
Could be, yeah. ASL is considered a world language, and it goes through the occupational right now because there are interpreters that get the certificate to interpret through the occupational arena. A unit study on frogs could include reading, writing, spelling, science, math, art, and occupational education. So, in other words, you don't have to teach spelling like they do in school, which is in a book or in a kind of a captive format. Okay? So here's a piece about annual testing. It can be accomplished in one of two ways, and we're going to do a little bit deeper look at this in just a second. You can do a non-test assessment, and this is assessment of a student's academic progress with a certified teacher who is currently working as a certified teacher. That teacher can be private. She could be, or you could be hired in the county of Clark County, Washington, and working privately. And I can show you several of those people.
I thought of another question. When they say 8, do they mean 8 at the beginning of the school year or 8 during the school year?
8 sometime during the school year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a
Turns
couple.
8.
I have a couple friends that they need to do this.
Yeah.
Like they're not doing anything and they need to do something.
Yeah, they should do something. I mean, we do have some have-tos, like a driver's license has some has-to. Standardized testing is a test approved by the state education administered annually by a qualified individual, which would be the certified teacher. Test results are a part of your private homeschool record. No one else receives a copy if you're home-based instruction. And the WHO, the Washington Homeschool Organization, maintains a list of individuals who administer tests in your area.
Okay.
So if you would turn the page in your booklet, we're going to take a look at that. This is a list off of the web of people in Clark County or nearby Clark County who can teach a local homeschool qualifying course. Terry Patterson is one of the longest people, she's been around the longest. You might want to guide your view.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She's been around the longest in this Clark County area for conducting assessment for people, for doing qualifying courses. I think she does her qualifying course through Nova School Revival. There are other qualifying courses. There is this page right here that I wanted to show you. This is straight off of the OSPI website, Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction. So if you were to look on there and double check if my resources are current, home-based instruction tests, that assessment list. So what qualifies? If you're saying I'm home-based instruction, my child's 8 this year or older, I know I need to do a once-a-year assessment. What can I do? And this list is what was okay when I created this packet. You can see if it's changed at all. I like this list because it gives you flexibility as a home-based parent to say, not ready for anything like the SBAC, don't want to partake of SBAC because I think whatever, you know. You can just go home-based instruction and take these assessments, okay? I don't believe we are any longer doing MSP or history, so I need to go on and get this updated. But you can see many of the teachers like Patterson, Carrie Patterson. California Achievement Test is what they go to. The Iowa is what they go to. Those are tests that you can actually look at yourself as an instructor, and that's kind of cool because then you can see what your kids are missing. If you have any questions, here is a direct phone number to Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction, to the gal that should be able to answer questions about homeschooling for you or private schooling. This page is really interesting because it shows if you look here, the organization is Carrie Patterson, so here she is again. She's in Vancouver, so you can just circle, like here's a Vancouver person, here is an Oregon City person, here's a Longview, Washington person. But if you look at Carrie Patterson, she does the CAT test, the California Achievement Test, grades 2 and 3, and the complete battery for grades 4 and above. She tells you how many days it takes. It's hand scored by the parent or the teacher. Its results gives you the basic form, the diagnostic profile, and a computer printout. It costs $25. Individual testing by appointment if your child gets a little bit antsy or uptight about being tested. The testing locations are Vancouver and surrounding areas, and it's available in the spring and fall. And there you go.
What is the California, why would that be for Washington?
California Achievement Test is a standardized test of basic skills. That's just the name of it, like the Iowa.
Yeah, you don't have to be, it doesn't pertain
No.
just to people.
It
California
doesn't
is
mean
Georgia.
the state of Iowa is just an
Well,
Iowa.
that's true. Iowa is not just Iowa. I
Yeah.
know about that.
Yeah.
So it's just like a test.
So basically, Iowa is the one that made the one, and California made the other one, but people recognize it as good, so they use it other places.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
It's approved in the state of Washington for home-based instruction families. Okay? So if you turn this page over, here, here are some parent-administered standardized tests. So, in Meade, Washington, they do the parent-administered standardized tests, and in Greenville, South Carolina, Bob Jones University, they would give you a parent standardized test so that you could do it yourself. If you have the qualifications to be your own teacher, certified teacher type person. So here we are. These assessments right here on the bottom of this page are assessments that are not standardized assessments. It's more like a profile of student learning. It's like if you kept track of what you did during the year in a Learning Palace, lesson planner, plus you saved samples from September, October, November, December in math, and throughout the year in math and whatever else you did, like English language arts. Then you brought them to Carrie Patterson, for example. The name of her organization is Salmon Creek Learning Center. She's in Vancouver. The cost is $40. She meets with you and the child. She might give the child one or two pieces to have them perform on. And then she'll collect certain things from you. And she will produce an assessment. Yep, your child is on 2nd grade level, tail end, ready to go up to 4th grade. There's a weakness here, there's a weakness there. Go ahead and go back into your instructional packet and practice this and build up your kids' strengths in this other area. And I think that's a really neat way to go. I mean, here, an example of this kind of need came to my attention last year when a parent who was coming to an evening presentation had a high school student who came out of 5-day because he had a medical condition, was here. She said, she was a very upbeat mom. She said, we spent all day Saturday in a medical office getting his body realigned and pumped and whatnot so he can live longer. I mean, there's some kind of process they do for her son. He has a disease that would have typically ended his life at age 10. He's 15. When she heard of the alternate assessments, it kind of piqued her interest. Because if he's medically fragile or has a specific need, why put him through some of the things that the high school kids are doing? If she can get him through transcripts and then assessments in the community in Clark County privately, could she do that? And maybe extend his life a little bit because it's less stressful? I don't know. She became intrigued by that. I'm just saying there are reasons why people might want to do different forms of instruction. And she got kind of loosened up to go, oh, I can do assessment once a year through a private instructor. And it's not out of the question financially. These people that have they're certified instructors in the state of Washington. And I'll show you, if you turn this page here and look at Academy Northwest, I'm not just saying they're perfect. I'm not saying that's the only way to go. I'm just saying it's an option in Clark County, and I'm grateful that there are options, okay? So say that you look at this and you go, oh, I want to see who's in Clark County, and I want to see who has a learning center. Their resources might be a little more limited than we are, but they might be an option that you might need to look into. Here they are. When I made the packet in 2015, it was Kathleen Baker in Vancouver, Carrie Patterson in Vancouver, and Barbara Roman in Vancouver. And if you go on this website, you can actually bring up these people and find out what their learning centers accomplish. They have kind of expertise. I believe that Kathleen Baker is a science kind of guru, you know. So you can find out what their strengths are. Some of them fill up pretty fast in what they do. And so you might want to stay current with them and find out what they're doing this year. Academy Northwest, an affiliate of Family Academy, if you want to go on the website and find out a little bit more about Family Academy and what they can do for home-based instruction families. Some of the original founders of Family Academy are also those people that went to the state capitol and advocated for home-based instruction to be 30 years ago. So, you know, we're grateful for what they do. They're another resource for families. Okay, so.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, I think when I was in school, I took the WASL or the HESP, those for the standardized tests. Why do they change and no longer get used? I don't understand.
Well, I think that education is in this thought process of saying, we're headed toward the 21st century. What do students need to know?
Okay.
They need to be able to function
So-
on computer, doing this informative text and literature and all this dance and all this kind of thing. So we have gone through several iterations of test them this way. No. test them this way. No.
Trial and error.
Test, yeah, so they think they're getting better and better at designing tests for kids. And so that's the present current thought. I'm talking as an employee. Now I'll talk as a parent. I think they're overdosing the kids.
Does it have to do with curriculum? Who has control of the curriculum? Who's making the money?
You know, some people would say at our WALA conference, there was a gentleman who said that the major drivers behind the current testing is the corporate business world.
No, but guess what? The cat's under there.
I come from law school teachers.
You kind of know. Yeah,
They're all going, this sucks.
yeah. There's a lot of opinion coming down the pike of pendulum swing in education. We're in a very bad pendulum swing right now. So when we come back center, it'll be better. Okay? We don't usually stay center.
What's your opinion of what the pendulum is at right now? Like what the
It's way out there.
on what issue in particular?
Probably
or many issues.
probably it's real tight on kids being tested a lot. And I would just ask our profession to take a look at the whole child and make sure that we address the different ways kids need to be in life, not just one way.
And in the bigger picture of this, America's competing against the rest of the world.
Yep.
So what does that do? Who wins the prize for the smartest kids? And what does that do for you? Is it all connected to money?
Well,
Is
and then what you have to think is what's important to you as a family. Where does a whole being, what is your core value? And I have come to, even though we're academic and you guys come from an academic background, is that the be in end all? I picked up a magazine that's all about farming in Oregon, and they're looking at training up the next generation of farmers. It's a very intelligent way that all these articles in this magazine I'm pretty impressed with. But I'm thinking unless we have people growing food,
I thought Monsanto was going to take care of that.
huh?
I need to shut up. I'm sorry.
He said Monsanto's going to take care of that for us.
Oh yeah, the big.
Yeah. No, they're not going to grow it. They're just going to own it. Yeah.
In 1930, when the crash came, my